Islam Makhachev, the era is upon us. After his impressive win at UFC 280, where he submitted Charles Oliveira in the second round to win the vacant UFC lightweight title, his performance was a continuation of what's been a dominant run of 11 wins in a row, including 5 finishes in a row in his last 5 fights. Given the current landscape of lightweight, do you see Makhachev ruling the division for years to come and, dare we say, surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov's greatness? Goes, you're leading off.
That's an interesting question. I mean, really, when you think of the landscape of the lightweight division right now, it's always going to be tough, right? That's one of the toughest divisions in all of mixed martial arts, no matter whether it's Bellator, PFL, there's always good fighters there. So I think where the advantage for Islam is over Khabib is when you look at the guys that have kind of ruled this division for so long, the juggernauts, will say, they're kind of at the tail end of their careers. The Dustin Poiriers, the Justin Gaethjes, Michael Chandlers. Those guys have already had their wars, and I don't know that Islam's going to get to every single one of them. The way a guy like Khabib, he fought so many of these guys. So I think it's just a difficult situation. The guy is so tough. He's shown us a lot. But when you're going to compare him to Khabib, you have to nitpick a little bit, right? So I guess maybe there's still a couple questions I need answered. One is, all right, what are you going to look like when things don't go your way? If you lose a round, what are you going to look like in the championship rounds? Really, it's just nitpicking. But honestly, right now, the way things are going, I think it's kind of set up for Islam to have a pretty decent run. The guy that really sticks out is probably the guy that's not going to get a chance anytime soon. And that's Beneil Dariush. I think no matter where that fight goes, it'll be a tough fight. It'll be a guy that won't feel overwhelmed. But I think Islam is just going to chug along. And I think it's going to take maybe a little bit longer. Where he's going to need to stand out more is going to be in the title defenses. That's where I think he can maybe catch Khabib. But Khabib was just so dominant that right now it's tough to say, yeah, he's going to pass him. So I'm going to go with no until we see more.
All right. We'll put you on hold for now. I got it. That's fair. Nolan, the zero, the big undefeated. I think obviously Islam knows there's a 1 there. So, yeah, he can never match that. But he can surpass title defenses and other types of greatness.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think when you look at Khabib, the big thing that was special about him was the fact that he had this mystique around him because he had that 0. I mean, he's done the unthinkable. He's walked away from this sport with a lot of wins and no losses. I mean, who else can do that? Who else has done that? Nobody has. We've seen fighters retire. Some fighters have retired early. Maybe they have 8-0, 9-0 records, whatever, before they even hit the UFC. Those are the only zeros that we ever see really walk away. So for him to be 29-0, there's the mystique, there's the selling point, there's a lot of what people are going to base their opinions on for years to come. And it's kind of unfortunate because I see Islam having a longer career as a champion, as somebody that's taking on the toughest challenge in the division at all times. Like Khabib, it took him so many fights to get towards to the title that I think there was a lot of other options out there that he could have taken on. Whereas Islam, he's champion. He hasn't fought any of these contenders. Like his best win before this was either Bobby Green or Dan Hooker. He's got a lot of contenders that he can take out as champion and build that legacy. And I like that he's fixated on defending the lightweight title. How many times do we hear somebody, win the belt and say, hey, I want to move up. I want to, it's already the talk begins, but he's said that he was focused on building his legacy around this weight class. So I think it's possible, but I think that the fact that Khabib has that 0 is always going to be the big selling point for him and drawing a lot of fans into siding with Khabib.
And it's interesting, right? Like he won the title in his 13th UFC appearance. Khabib retired after 13 UFC fights. So you kind of look at the trajectory of their careers there. Islam's obviously going to have many more UFC fights than Khabib did. And Khabib even said, himself, I get it. He's trying to hype up his guy and trying to put Islam over, but he said, he's better than me, pretty much better than I ever was, and is going to be better than I ever will be. So I guess that's the ringing endorsement from Khabib, even though he's clearly biased in that regard. But I think Islam is poised to have a pretty tremendous title reign, but I think the biggest challenge might be the first one up in Alexander Volkanovski. I think a guy who's arguably, who's not even in the division is arguably his biggest challenge and the best stylistic matchup for him. In my opinion, the odds came out already for this fight, and I think Islam's around right now minus 300 or so. And I think he would be a bigger favorite probably over anyone else in the top 5 at this point. So this could maybe be a very short-lived title reign if he doesn't get past this first defense. But if he does, I think, like these other guys alluded to, he's a much better matchup for the Dustin Poiriers, the Michael Chandlers, even Beneil Dariush. So I look forward to seeing, how this unfolds for him. But I think the first test is really going to be the first one. And after that point, I do give him a pretty good chance of breaking that lightweight record of 3 title defenses, which I believe is held by 3 or 4 guys at this point. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens with him.